So my name's Cole Booth, and this is Mac Mella. We do Gone All Season together, but we started the channel a couple years ago, and recently we've worked for several other brands, uh, and now we're kind of back to doing Gone All Season as like the majority of what we're filming out in the field and stuff. I work at Vortex right now as a content creator as well. That's like, I guess, my day job. But yeah, we're pretty excited to be back doing stuff with Gone All Season. We pretty much did that all spring as well. So this fall will be pretty exciting. We've had a couple good trips already. What do you do?
Yeah, I've been doing Gone all season too, editing whatever, and been doing like some freelance work as well. Just was out in Montana filming for a guy out there, filming a bunch of elk hunts. So just got back from that a.m. this morning, so got to sleep in a bed for the first time since our goat hunt out in South Dakota. So it's pretty sweet. But yeah,
So your schedule is probably a little bit more like you don't have a laptop 9 to 5 or anything at this point. It sounds like.
my main thing is I wanted to have enough free time like this fall to be able to film any of us, like wherever we're at, and then also hunt for myself a fair amount as well too. Like I got most of this work done out and throughout September, so usually that's the slower portion of the year in Wisconsin where we hunt. But yeah, kind of.
So Cole, what's your like schedule as far as like work? How much are you able to get out? How flexible are they?
So they are really flexible. Obviously, I get to travel for work too, for hunts and stuff. I have a couple of trips planned this fall. Went on a couple of trips in the spring. But yeah, I like can get out after work still. Like I get off at 4:30, so I can make it out after work still in the early season. Obviously, when the time changes, that'll be tougher. But yeah, I can hunt Friday, Saturday, Sunday, most days, and also have time off that I can take in October and November. So I like what I'm doing right now. It's just a lot of content creation, which is what I've been doing for the last 2.5 years, and it is pretty fun to work for a brand like Vortex.
I'm sure there's probably a lot of other guys there that kind of do the same type of thing where are
Yeah,
traveling around all the time, getting to talk to
yeah.
those guys.
Yeah, it's a lot of like-minded people, so everybody's pretty understanding when hunting season gets good. The work schedule gets pretty tight.
Right. So I guess you kind of did your little bit of an introduction. I guess I wanted to have you two on specifically just because I know you've kind of hunted all over the place. You've taken a lot of trips. You kind of probably have a system down on everything from how you plan where you're going to hunt, whether you're going to, I'm sure each year you probably have a draw type of tag that takes a few years to get or just like over the counter. That's all some stuff to consider. But I kind of wanted you guys to just go over how you decide maybe where you're going to go if you have a system that way. And then we'll kind of get into maybe your gear lists when you go on like a week long or multi-week long trip because you've kind of been there, done that, probably have figured out some things you would rather not do anymore or things that you've learned that you like to do as far as that goes, like your system. So I guess if one of you two want to start and then,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess for whitetails, we've really only done the over-the-counter states so far. We haven't, like, drawn anything. I think we're both just starting to put in for stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's just a little bit more affordable to just be able to grab an over-the-counter tag and not have a bunch of points and stuff invested, obviously, because 'cause we're still pretty young. But, like, I think when we're going out of state now, like, what we've learned is, like, we really don't ever, like, pick or, like, have a plan for where we're gonna end up hunting. Like, we just kinda pick, like, a general area, and it seems like we just go, and then we figure it out as we go. It doesn't really I mean, it can work out if you, like, pick a spot that looks really good and you're like, "Oh, let's go hunt it." But just for us, the way we hunt, it doesn't seem like it ever pays to, like, really look at the map a ton for us just because it's sometimes you can guess what it's gonna look like, but a lot of times, like, you get out there and it's like, "Yeah, this looks nothing like I
you're,
thought."
you're adjusting on the fly a little bit every
Yeah, and
time
it
it
seems
seems
like
like. So
yeah, if you don't marry yourself to a spot or an area, like, you show up and it just seems like you're gonna waste a little bit less time there than if you scouted it, e-scout and you're like, you got this plan and you wanna go into somewhere and you wanna pick it apart, but a lot of times you show up and it's like, "Yeah, this habitat isn't very good. Let's keep moving."
I feel like that also helps with like your hunting style once you get there too. It's like we're not trying to tiptoe around it. We're like, if we see this area that we think looks good, we're just going to go right in, and we might completely blow it up or mess it up. And um, we're not like worried about that because we can just move to the next area that we want to check out. Like we're
Yeah.
not like, oh man, we really need to hunt like this spot. Like we got options.
Yeah.
I guess that
Seems like you should not be afraid to just be like super aggressive going into places and just trying stuff. Cause I mean,
Yeah.
you're there for a week. If you tiptoe around, you might end up wasting like 3 or 4 days where you could have been really tight to a bunch of deer. And like, if you mess it up, great, then go in and dive head first into the next spot.
sure. So are you more of a like I want to have at least so many days in a place, or are you like more of a okay, I think I can get it done, or want to just hit maybe multiple places 3 or 4 days a piece, or would you rather be in one spot for like 7, 8, 9 days?
I'd say if you feel really good about it, we've hunted 7 or 8 days in the same spot, like, if we're really into them. But on, like, the out-of-state trips we've done, we've never really, like, burned 3 or 4 days in a spot that wasn't good, like, that weren't into deer right away. Like, honestly, probably give it a day or 2 maybe in a spot that and if it's just not working out, like, we're just on to the next. There's so much ground and to check out. I don't have the
What comes
patience to, like, do that really.
comes to mind to me for like we'll go into a spot and we'll hunt it super aggressive like the first couple of days, and then we'll either like get really close or we'll get a shot, and if it doesn't work out, then we'll just go and do something else for a couple of days. But we know that spot was good, so we'll come back to it, like later in the week if we need to.
I'm always have an internal battle to where, like, if I'm going to like a brand new state or something like that, everybody kind of takes that same first week in November off. You're leaving like a rut hunt or something, and they take like 10 days. Would you recommend to somebody go maybe a little earlier in the year for maybe 3 days and then kind of learn it, and then maybe get lucky and get into deer that time of year, and then plan on setting aside time to come back later and kind of do 2 different times a year in the same spot? Or would you just put all your eggs kind of in a 7, 8 day stretch and, kind of expect to not maybe figure it out until halfway through and then it's kind of the same thing, but done 2 different ways?
Yeah. I mean, I think both can work. Personally, I'd rather just go 10 days. I just like the long trips. I feel like you get into a rhythm then. Just seems like when you go on like a shorter trip, like day 3 and 4, you're like finally starting to feel good and then you got to leave. I personally would just prefer like the 10-day like trip, invest it. It also is probably going to be more affordable for people traveling because you're less on gas, less on like travel expenses too. And the way we like to hunt, I think we'd rather just have like an extended period of time. We really haven't done I don't think we've gone out of state back to the same spot ever. No, it's always just been one like week, 10-day stretches and we hunt it and then that's it. We've never done like the scout ahead or anything, but that
I
also
would
is
say
kind of
like,
our schedules too, that we can't really do that.
yeah, I mean, I would say like if you have the time and you are planning to take your week off like during that first week of the route, like you were talking about, it probably is like super beneficial if you can get there earlier or even any time and just see what the ground even looks like. Because like we were saying earlier, you could look at something on the map and it looks great, and then you get there and it's like maybe isn't what we were thinking it was. So yeah, I feel like that's if you can, that probably is definitely beneficial. We've just never done that.
Yeah.
Sure. Because it seems like you're always spending at least a day driving around, or 2 days driving around, and at least maybe get a hunt in those first couple days, but it's kind of just throwing paint at the wall, seeing if it
Yeah.
sticks kind of thing, whether if it's in a just a scout hunt, whatever it is. So yeah, I feel like I'm kind of the same way where you really don't figure stuff out until like day 3, 4, whatever. But some of those tags where, say it's like a tag you draw every 5 or 6 years, where I know when I drew Iowa a couple of years ago, I went out there to scout twice, and I debated on going like their opening week, like in October, to throw an early season hunt at it and kind of just shake the rust off, then kind of figure areas that I want to focus on when I come back, seeing as it was only a few hour drive. But yeah, I see if it's like a Western trip or something, that's not really probably makes sense for a lot of people as far
Yeah.
as time and money goes, but it's something to consider for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I think also having like a tag that you draw like that after only a certain or like it takes a long time to draw it, I feel like we'd probably definitely be willing to go back a couple times. But like if you're just running over the counter, like you can get it every year. I mean, if you're gonna hunt the same spot state 3 years, you're just kind of building on top of it every trip.
Sure. What's your guys' system as far as you guys like to camp if you can? Does it depend on time of year, weather, or like cheap motel that's just got four walls and a roof, something cheap, or do you try to tent it or whatever you guys do?
I don't think we've ever paid for a hotel on a camping trip. We've always just slept on public land if it's legal, slept in the ditch, slept in our cars at truck stops. Honestly, like
Walmart.
yeah, we're really not too picky about it because on a lot of those trips, you're not getting a lot of sleep anyways. So like even if you would go to a hotel, I mean you're there 4 or 5 hours. But a lot of the times we'll bring tents and camp, uh, and we have nice gear to do that, which makes it comfortable as well.
Yeah.
And it also just is more efficient a lot of times to camp because like sometimes you're 45 minutes from the closest place you could actually stay even. So you're saving yourself a time in the morning and at night traveling back and forth. And it honestly just kind of tires you out less if you don't have to make a big drive in the morning or at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, how has your camping system maybe changed over the years? Like, or some pieces of equipment that you would highly recommend that you've learned that you really can't go without?
What comes to mind to me is our first ever trip we took out of state was to Nebraska. We were going after Merriam's, and we brought what 2 cars, and they were packed to the brim, and it was the 3 guys,
Four guys.
4 guys.
Four
It
guys,
was
yeah.
packed to the brim. Like each car was just like had no room for anything. We brought so much crap. Like we get there, and it's like, man, we really didn't need to bring all this stuff. It's like all you really need is your clothes, your bow, or whatever you're using for a weapon, and then like your a tent. We had 3 tents, and we set them all up and had
Yeah.
a gear tent. It's like it probably is good if you're going to be there for a while, but we were moving quite a bit on that trip, and it just made it a pretty big hassle. So
Yeah, on the turkey trips, especially the turkey trips, especially. I mean, you're moving around so much; it doesn't really a lot of times pay to have like a set up camp or anything. So like now we're to the point where we have like individual tents that can literally be popped up in like 45 seconds, and those seem to work really well. We don't really set up gear tents ever, just because we keep all of our stuff in our car to move around. But yeah, getting good sleeping equipment also helps. Like having a
yeah,
good sleeping pad, that is a big thing. I always had a cheap one and I've recently invested in a nicer one and it definitely improves how you feel if you have like a good sleeping bag and stuff. And also just don't forget a pillow because when I forget a pillow on a trip, it is miserable.
that Nebraska trip, I was sleeping on my backpack. That trip, I remember that.
Yeah, I feel like it's something to consider. I know some people do like the big wall tent that's like takes you half a day to set it up. And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of those trips, you at least during the trip, even if you kind of get lucky and your first couple of spots are good and you want to stay there, you still, the amount of time it takes you to like pack it up and move, and you at least want to move at least one time per trip. I feel like it'd be like, oh, it'd be nice if we could just shift kind of over here or move. So being able, the biggest thing for me is you gotta have to expect to be a little bit uncomfortable, especially when you plan to camp. Like it's not gonna be like a 5-star hotel. Like you can only get it so comfortable. So I feel like that mobility and that being able to, okay, or if it's gonna start pouring rain or something and you want to just sleep in the truck, being able to have something that can go up quick, come down quick, be able to move area, even if it's 15, 20 minutes one way, that's 15 minutes, 20 minutes more sleep you could
Yeah.
essentially have, which
Yeah.
is
I think we do
important.
the walk, though. Like if we,
Yeah. If it may, I feel like when we
I
get
think that'd be a really
older,
cool experience. Maybe.
we'll probably like once we get out of our youth ages, we'll probably want a little more comfortability. Uh, just 'cause right now we can just sleep in the front seat of a truck and be all right. Which
Yeah. Also, if you got a car that, like, I got a Subaru that I can put the seats down and back and sleep in there, and I've got that figured out pretty well for sleeping in there. Or like a truck, really. And a lot of these guys have like those truck top campers. There's so many ways now to just to be efficient and go to bed quick and just get a good sleep in, because I think that's pretty important for hunting.
yeah,
Yeah, and like my truck's the back seat's big enough to where you can't fully like lay out. You have to bend your legs a little bit to sleep sideways, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
When you're inside the truck, you can lock the doors. Some places are get kind of sketchy.
Yeah, it's quieter. Sometimes it's warmer.
Yeah, might stink there in the morning.
Yeah. Um, so moving on down your like gear list, I guess, like what are some other things that like say you were to spread everything out before you go on a trip, like what are kind of your like must haves? So let's just say for this podcast, like you're going on a rough trip for like 9 days, 10 days out of state.
Yeah. Um, I would say like honestly, one thing that I always want to bring now is a folding chair. Like to be able to sit down and like just relax is like it's very overlooked at like when I first started going on trips. But like having a chair to sit down in, it doesn't take up a lot of space. Highly, highly recommend that. And then we do like Blackstone. We have like 17-inch Blackstone griddle that we cook on with a plastic fold out table. Like those are kind of like the main camp things that we like definitely want to have.
Jet boils
Jet boils are a big thing just to
or
make
something
coffee in the morning
heat
or
up
make
water.
to make coffee, make like peak meals. And then I mean, other than that, like around camp, I mean, what else? Obviously like coolers.
Coolers.
Coolers are a good thing to have. I think we had 2 coolers on our antelope trip.
Yeah.
Um, just one for your food for yourself, and then another one for meat and stuff.
Those big water jugs at Walmart, and we usually have a couple of those with us, just because it helps to. You don't have to go into town every day to get bottled water, and then you just have to throw out a bunch.
And you got all the trash, yeah.
Yeah, like those big blue 5-gallon water things. They're
Yeah,
a
those are
big
really
thing to
nice.
have.
I would think that's like just not to stop you and get you off your rhythm or whatever, but I think just to be able, I learned at least to try to not get as much trash. If you could invest in like a small eating system, you were talking about a jet boil and maybe some like plastic or metal plates and silverware that you can just wash or reuse for the few days you're there. Then you don't have all this, you got 4 garbage bags and then you don't have any room to take it anywhere. And if you're more remote, then you got all this crap that you don't know
Yeah,
what to do with. But I'd say that's definitely something to look into for people that don't really think about that. They get like 6 cases of water and then
yeah.
you just got bottles, empty bottles.
That's what we did on that first turkey trip. And that sucked. But yeah, it's just like becoming more efficient with everything. And then in terms of like gear wise, having 2 bow releases is a big thing because sometimes they break, other times you leave them laying alongside the road.
Both have happened.
Yeah, both have happened. I like just having not overpacking, but having like a change of clothes, like probably I don't know. I just usually have 2 pairs of pants, kind of just 2 pairs of everything. That way, if something gets wet or something,
I'd say rain gear.
yeah, rain gear. And then the like charging situation, just like having like a little battery charging box that will last like 3 or 4 days, just to like get your phone charged. And then we also bought like car adapters that plug into like the cigarette lighter, and then they have like regular outlets on them, just so that you can multiple things in like when you're on the road. I'd say that's something we've become more efficient at. Is we used to kind of struggle with keeping like camera batteries and
That
phones charged.
The first Nebraska trip, we brought a giant generator that like ran. We like ran it at night. And it was like this factory. We were like, this is. There's got to be a better way.
Yeah, but battery boxes that you can buy for like $200 that'll last several days, and then you can just charge them, recharge the battery box while you're in the car, like charge it right out of the car. It seems to work pretty well for us. Yeah,
and if you're not someone that has like, you guys obviously carry camera gear and stuff that takes a little more to charge and your batteries and stuff, but like one who doesn't film anything or need, if they pretty much just have their phone or a GPS or whatever, a couple small electronic things, just like even small battery bank that they make. All you got to do anytime that you're in your vehicle and have it running, going to or from a spot, heading to town, whatever you're doing, always having that plugged in and charged. And then they're only about as big as your cell phone. Slip them in your bag or your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them have like 8 or 10 phone chargers in them. Just something small or having a couple of those options at all times.
Yeah. And then the other thing
energy wise.
would just be like this, like the food you pack, like not planning to make extravagant meals like middle of the day, like just having like Uncrustables, best snack there is. You can
Agree.
literally eat those for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and be good. And it's
Hmm.
just less space to bring stuff around. Like we still do bring like wild game or other like more well thought out meals, but that's stuff we're doing at when it's dark out
Yeah.
after we're done hunting.
And I'd say for breakfast, we're usually eating something pretty quick,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
granola bars and whatever coffee.
coffee.
Yeah. Especially, yeah, it sucks because I've been down that road, especially in the spring during turkey season. I've been last year, no, it was 2 years ago, I was in Nebraska for their early archery turkey season, and the days were super short. So, like, I have an hour drive to where I was hunting, and then I was okay. I by the time I cook food and get to bed, it's 11. I'm up at 3. It gets to be if you haven't done it before, it's pretty overwhelming
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure. So you kind of mentioned things of bow release. Let's get into like your specific hunting equipment when you go for a trip. You said bring 2 releases. That makes sense. Do you bring an extra pack of broadheads or something just in case there's things or you would just kind of like have those all pre-made extra arrows already, or how do you go
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, I have in my case, I carry all my arrows that I have, so like a dozen arrows. And then I have a broadhead case with all the broadheads that I shoot in it. So like we all bring our bow cases with pretty much everything that we need in them, like just because they're pretty thin, don't take up a lot of space, and that way we just can grab them, have everything we need. So yeah, in terms of that, the release thing is just because I've had one break, like a trigger fall off when a buck came in, and then I didn't have an extra. I don't carry the extra on me in the field, but I do have it in my case. And then on the antelope trip, I left my good one lay alongside the road for 3 days, and then I ended up finding it. But I don't know what you bring other than kind of that
Yeah, I
stuff.
mean, I think the most important thing is just like shooting your bow and making sure your bow's like you feel confident shooting your bow out to whatever range you want to be able to shoot before you leave, and then get while you're there shooting as well to make sure like you didn't get something didn't get bumped or whatever.
Yeah,
Because like if you have your bow and your bow is shooting good, you shouldn't need more than 3 arrows,
yeah,
my opinion.
yeah.
But
We do bring like an archery target too to
yeah,
shoot at camp every night.
yep.
Yep.
And then
I've
as far
always
as
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry.
Yeah, that's something that I've done last couple of years just because I've had some bad luck with stuff getting bumped off. I don't know what it is, just recently the last 2 years, but having a broadhead block or something, even an extra field tip, like, I mean, your broadhead should shoot semi close to your field tips, but just having something, an extra arrow that you can, you get to the parking lot, you throw it out there 20 yards and just verify it's pretty close at least. Because I'm definitely gonna be more conscious of that. It's something I always thought about and was prepared for, but didn't really do it unless I felt I bumped it off or something got screwed up or I dropped it from a height or wrapped it against a tree really hard or something like that. But I think just like even if it's once a week now, I feel I'm gonna at least shoot more with broadheads and just verify everything's good to go because you really never know. Because I could have told you that my stuff was dead nuts last week and it wasn't. So
Yeah, and shooting broadheads too, like to make sure those are shooting good for you as well. That's important. I was just out in Montana, and it's insane how many people showed up with bows that like had never shot the broadheads, and they put the broadhead on, and it's shooting 3 feet to the left and hitting the elk target in the ass. It's like, geez, man. So
yeah.
it isn't very important. I think I didn't realize like how much different broadheads can affect arrows until I think this year. So
Yeah, especially when you're just out in the field actually hunting with it every day. Like you're crawling around, putting it on the
yeah,
ground, putting your pressure against it. Like it's pretty easy for it to get knocked off, especially when you're on the ground all the time, dragging it through weeds and stuff.
Yeah. Not to get too far down a rabbit hole with gear or what everybody likes something different, but I do you guys wear a bino harness at all?
Yeah, I started wearing like the Vortex bino harness with like rangefinder on it and stuff. I always just wore like the elastic stuff, but then I never really had like a good spot to put my rangefinder and stuff. And I've started wearing it in turkey season, and I really liked it. So I have been wearing it now and just having your rangefinder, milkweed. You can put your extra batteries right in your chest there. I do like that. that system a lot.
Yeah, I still
'cause
the elastic one.
yeah. I was always an elastic person too, or I wouldn't even wear one, and I just slip my binos in my pack or whatever, like in the front. So if you're like saddle hunting, you could, I mean, it's right there, but I've always had situations where I'm walking in and want to have them right there and use them. And then it turns into okay, I was going to sit tonight, but now it's going to be a maybe a ground hunt or going to try to stalk this deer or something like that. But like you brought up, Cole, I feel like just more, just extra storage right here in front.
Mhm.
Because I was going to bring up with the bow thing is I always carry like a small set of Allen wrenches now, or even a single one or two cut off ones that are the size of like most of the Allen spots for like your sight and rest and stuff. Cause most of them are pretty universal size. Just having that where if you notice something gets a little loose, you can just snug it up when you're out there. Cause I've had that happen a couple times too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bringing that basic bow repair stuff, I think it's pretty handy.
Yeah.
My dad
It's not
always had
really
a bow box, so we always just you go in there and he's got Allen wrenches and all the stuff you need to basically do anything with your bow other than, adjust the poundage, which some bows nowadays you don't even need a press to do that.
yeah. I think it's important to have something bow repair kit with you, especially if you're gone for days.
Yep.
Because there's something's gonna probably happen where you wish you had it eventually.
Oh yeah.
There's probably a town within a couple hours of you that has a bow shop, but you know as well as I do during that time of year, bow shops are slammed too. And that's a day you're not in the woods. So, but, or if you're going out west, having one of those, I think they make like a bow press that's just a couple different cables that you can, if your string pops off, if you're in the mountains or something, it's not really applicable for deer hunting, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so let me think. So we went over kind of your sleeping system, your food system, keeping it simple, but um, and then we went over kind of your gear as far as bow goes. What kind of calls do you guys always have with you when you're like you're hunting during that time of year? Are you like
Yeah.
an antlers or a rattle bag? I would assume a grunt tube most of the time, most of the year even.
Yeah. Yeah. I carry like the Woodhaven Ninja grunt tube or whatever. And then I have antlers, like 2-year-old antlers that I carry around. And then other than that, I don't really have anything crazy, but I mean, I just like the 2-year-old antlers because they're pretty small. Cut the brow tines
Mhm.
off. That's something to do. Definitely cut your brow tines off so you don't smash your fingers when you're trying to rattle. But yeah, that's what I carry, what I've always carried around. And I mean, it's pretty simple to pack.
Yeah. I haven't carried a lot of rattling antlers. I had like one of those little bags that you do this with before, but I mean, I've never had great luck with rattling where I've hunted, so I just mostly just run out tube. But I feel like just more so just trying to sound like a deer too, like in the woods is more important than sometimes in some areas than calling one in with a rattling. I did see it work last year though, so kind of all depends on the situation. I feel like.
Sure. So I guess transitioning off of specific gear, like what kind of resources do you guys use when you're it's kind we did kind of did this in like a backwards order, but when you're researching where you guys want to go, what are some factors you look at? And then whether that's the time you have to go, the distance, you kind of mentioned a little bit at the beginning of not necessarily caring a specific spot where you start because you're probably going to move anyways. What are some things to consider, some resources you use, whether that's DNR websites, calling biologists beforehand? How in depth do you go when you're like planning a brand new spot or a trip?
Yeah, I mean, we all start on Onyx. A lot of the times it's just like kind of just scanning the map and finding some stuff that catches your eye. And then from there, I feel like I go to like how much public is around there. Is this like a ton of public that's going to grab the eyes of a bunch of people? But it seems like you want to kind of be somewhere in the happy medium where like you don't want to have a huge track of public. That's obviously what people are going to like gravitate towards. But you also don't want to start in an area where there's like 2 pieces of public that are small and then they end up being bad. So, but there's also places that are really small that are good. So, I mean, I think we've looked at like maps before of like deer density, obviously. We've looked at like in like the Dakotas, there's like the winter kill off stuff when they had that winter, we've looked at stuff like that.
It might be helpful too, like if you're going somewhere out west, especially to call and ask what like the water, if how wet it's been that year, because like that affects the deer quite a bit. I think out there, like if it's a dry year or a wet year.
Yeah, because I feel like whether that's you, not that you have to call like the DNR or somebody. Usually they're pretty
Oh,
helpful.
or
They're not.
or Nasco if it's rained a lot this year.
Yeah. Like you within a couple of calls, you should know somebody or be able to get a hold of somebody that lives out there. Just like they have no skin in the game. They're not going to try to like tell you the wrong thing.
Yeah,
Like, there's no reason for them to kind of just like, they might think it's a little weird for you just like to call and say, hey, how much rain you guys getting lately? But it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Even like when we've got permission out there, I mean, a lot of people just like kind of, it seems like the people that live out there will be like, yeah, a lot of deer in the area. And then it turns out, yeah, there is a lot of deer here. Or we've been to places where like, yeah, not seeing a ton. And then it's really not great. But other than, I mean, we've talked to like game wardens, usually are pretty helpful with stuff. Checking with them where you can and cannot hunt is also important because a lot of times like the rules are a little gray,
Hmm.
and sometimes like we've had wardens that have told us wrong information that we then
yeah,
call another warden and then they tell us a different thing. So I mean we're looking at Onyx, we're looking at like other maps of like density areas, and then just trying to pick places that we feel like are, I think going to places that your hunting style is also going to fit is a big thing. Like if you want a tree stand hunt or saddle hunt, then you need to look for areas with like trees and creek bottoms and stuff out west. Or if you want to ground hunt, you can go hunt where there's no trees.
I was going to mention that too, because you had mentioned it super early in the conversation about what's your style. If you're somebody that's super comfortable ground hunting, or that's just what you do and be like ultra mobile that way, finding an area that's maybe a little bit more broken cover, a little more open, something that would fit that, or at least have the option, an area where there's some of that and some of, timber, whether you're a guy that's like super traditional where you are going to sit in the same stand for a week on end during the rut. When you find a pinch point or something, you probably want to find a little more hilly timbered terrain for that, or kind of it's kind of different for everybody, but just kind of taking that into consideration. What do I like to do, or what do I want to get out of the trip? I don't think a lot of people really think about that. Like, what do you want to get out of the trip? Do you just want to fill your tag, or do you want to go after something bigger, more mature? I think. And then a lot of times people are disappointed when it doesn't go that way, because everyone has kind of a preconceived notion what they want to get out of that trip. If you're just going with a bunch of buddies and want to have fun, I'm the kind of person where I'm a little bit more quantity over quality. So that's something to think about too.
I think we're
I don't know
definitely
what
more
you guys' thoughts on that.
go have fun and don't worry too much about it. But like we'll go out there and it's not like we're like looking for a giant buck. Most of the time we're looking for opportunity, and if we can have an opportunity every day, like that's, I think we'll be pretty fulfilled with that. So
Yeah, it definitely seems like you get kind of your expectation once you hunt a few days and like what you're seeing. Like if you're just
yeah,
seeing like a bunch of younger bucks, 2, 3 year old bucks, like yeah, I mean that'd be, we'd be ecstatic to shoot something like that. And if we are seeing a bunch of big bucks, then like yeah, maybe we will try to shoot one of the bigger ones and not shoot a small one, but we also might shoot a small one too. Like we're not too like picky about that. I think like our strategy, like I feel like we're most of the time, I guess we've just hunted out west a lot. We haven't really gone like east and like the big woods stuff,
Mhm.
other than like West Virginia. But I think a lot of times we're like going in on the ground, uh, and ground hunting it. And then if we feel like it makes sense to get up in a saddle, then we will. Like we've hunted out west where we've gotten up in a saddle just to be able to glass, and then we would spot deer, get out of the tree, and go after them. Or we've set up in the tree if it makes sense. But a lot of the times we're just going out there on the ground and then kind of evaluating it. And we're not against getting up in a tree. So we'll do whatever we feel gives us the best odds.
yeah. You can add that to the gear list. Bring a saddle or a tree stand or something.
Yeah.
Having
Everywhere,
options.
everywhere
Yeah.
pretty much can be beneficial, I think.
Yeah.
Because like this area where I'm at now is like super bluffy and hilly. Ground hunting's, other than like a few select spots going into it, you like know that that's an option, but most of them are like probably going to want to be up in a tree just because the hills are like 40, like pretty steep angle. So whether you want to get up over a trail or underneath, you're still going to want to be up elevated. Otherwise, just being eye level with deer and that, you just can't see a lot when you're on the ground.
Yeah, especially early season when it's thick like this, you definitely
Yeah.
want to get up where you can look over vegetation to see a bunch of ground. Yeah, I mean, saddle hunting's so efficient now. Like you can just walk around with your saddle in your back pocket, so that doesn't hurt to just bring along pretty much everywhere you go.
Yeah, well, I think we kind of got a lot of like good things covered as far as like your guys' system when you go on a trip.
Hmm.
So do you want to talk a little bit about what you guys got going on, just more laid back, what you guys got planned for the rest of the year, what you guys have done so far? You
Yeah,
want to go into any of that if you got any cool stories or anything from this year so far or foresee anything?
Heck, you shot a deer already.
Kinda. Had an opportunity. That's the biggest thing.
That's what it's all about.
yeah. I haven't even seen an antlered deer yet. All I've seen is a couple of does, but it's early yet. I guess so far this year, we put out 3 antelope videos on Gone All Season. I ended up shooting one and Brett shot one. We were out there 5 days antelope hunting, and then we deer hunted with some other friends as well out there. And we just put a video out on that. Ended up shooting one, just hit them high and wasn't lethal. But yeah, those 4 videos are out on the channel. Pretty much, I think we're kind of going to be hunting around here a lot. I haven't hunted Wisconsin for really hardly at all with my bow for like 2 years now. So I am
Mhm.
pretty excited to hunt around here again. And I'm down in like the Madison area, so I grew up on the eastern side of the state, so it's just different. I mean, uh, it seems like there's a little more opportunity around here with public land and just higher deer populations. But yeah, we're excited to all be back, kind of in the same area together, and just hunt for a fall.
Yeah, use all the stuff you've learned the last few years just traveling around and being able to bring it back and use it. It's kind of
Yeah.
exciting to think about.
Yeah, Mac and I were both in West Virginia last fall working for the Untamed. So like we were hunting the mountains and doing
Mhm.
spot and stalk and stuff like that, which was something I don't even think either of us knew it even existed where you could hunt deer like that.
I don't know if it exists anywhere else in the country other than like that.
Yeah, other than where that was.
Where that is.
That was
It's like giant wooded mountains, but it's like spot and stock because it's all the coal mine reclaim stuff. So it's pretty cool.
yeah. And we learned a ton. Like I'd say we probably hunted on the ground last year like 90% of the time that we hunted.
Mhm.
A lot of it was like glassing and moving around on deer and then setting up in that kind of stuff. And I definitely feel like we learned a bunch about how deer move, playing the wind, playing thermals and stuff, and also just being aggressive and not really caring if you spook one because it seems like you can just move on to the next one and find a different deer.
Yeah. That is, I will say it's pretty, because you guys aren't like super far, or Madison area is not super far from here, but coming from like the northern third of the state, the deer population there isn't awful. It's not what it used to be, but just the difference living here for now, like 4 years, just completely different terrain coming from like straight flat potato fields where the blocks of timber were all, mature, not much understory, and it was in a perfect square. The square field, the squares, is woods. Now everything's so diverse and broken up, all the hills. Just learning how wind and thermals move through the hills and how there's just more mature deer here, like the ratio from younger buck to mature buck, and just been able to observe them and learn how they are supposed to move around during the year and how they adjust to pressure and different times of year. I've been super surprised how well I've gotten on deer like this time of year early here compared to like back home where I'm from. It's kind of like sneaky good end of September. Maybe not opening weekend when everybody floods the woods, but that next 2 weeks
I think
because
that
oaks are
worked
dropping.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully we get a good cold front here. I mean, it's been hot for so long. I feel like once it breaks a little bit, it's going to get pretty crazy for a few days.
Yeah. I was just talking to, I don't know if you know him, but his name's Tony. And he gets on big deer like every year and shed hunts a bunch and stuff in the hills, and he kind of just relayed that same thing, that the weather has so much to do with it. And he was kind of talking about those 4 or 5 days we had after opening weekend where it was like super cool for this time of year. And just his cameras and everything was just blowing up, hitting scrapes you wouldn't believe. And then it kind of got back to what it's been, kind of warm. So,
Yeah.
Do you run how many, or do you run some cameras up there? Like, have you had luck
yeah,
with that?
I've kind of dialed back this year. I probably have 8 to 10,
Hmm.
and they're all SD cams, just kind of letting them soak on scrapes and stuff that I've found the last few years, just to kind of try to get a timeline when they kind of heat up, just to use for future years. I was super big on the cameras the first couple of years, just because like spreading a really wide net in a new area,
Yeah.
and then I ended up kind of just hunting the same couple of areas because they were just better and held better deer. But I don't know. I kind of want to get your guys' opinion on this too. Are you people that when you find an area that holds bigger deer and you know they're in there, are you like hunt the crap out of that spot and not worry about, or are you more, because it's always a fine line between like being selective and wait until the conditions are right. That's what I've been doing this year. The couple of days that I sat, I probably had 3 sits this year. They've all been mornings, surprisingly, but the conditions were just good. And I knew I had to have those to get in there clean and stuff. And I've seen bucks every sit and no other deer, just strictly bucks. So there's something to that, I think, but I always want to just hammer a spot when I know you're getting pictures. Like there's deer there, you
Yeah.
just got to hunt them down. So I don't know how you guys kind of think about that.
Yeah. I don't know. I ran some cell cameras about 2 or 3 years ago, and because I had seen a buck that I like was driving into this public piece that I was hunting and saw like probably the biggest buck one of the biggest deer I've ever seen, and he was like making a rub on a tree in the ditch and just sprinted back into the private, which like butts up to the public, and I was like, holy crap. So fast forward, Wisconsin Rut Report, somebody posts this video of this deer coming across this field, and then so I was like, holy crap, there he is. Like that's him. Like I recognized the tree. Like I was one of those guys. And I go in there the next year and I was like, I'm gonna hunt this deer. Like I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna find him. So I put like 3 or 4 cell cameras out in this chunk of public, and it was probably the worst year of hunting I ever had. Like I don't think I even had an opportunity like a buck in range the whole year. Like it was like I would get pictures of deer and stuff, but I was always like a day behind or like a day late, and I was like, this is
Chasing
just,
pictures a little bit. That's kind
yeah,
of where
yeah,
I got to, and I kind of
I didn't like it.
dialed
So
back a little bit.
yeah, no. So my plan for this year is I'm gonna try to hunt if I can, like up north. My grandparents have a cabin up north. That's kind of where I grew up hunting in northern Wisconsin, and so that's kind of what I was used to. And just it's the national forest up there that we hunt. So, um, but they had a bunch of wind come through there and knocked a bunch of trees over, and so the deer density up there has kind of gone up a little bit in the last couple of years. It was pretty bad. It's always been pretty bad, but that's my goal, is to try to go up there and see if I can't figure out the big woods a little bit more, because I haven't hunted up there, bow hunted up there seriously in like 3 or 4 years probably. So
It's probably not far from where I'm from, because I know that what you're talking about as far as that year that all that like super
where
high winds
where are
came
you
through and
from?
not.
I'll check this out. I'm
I'm
curious.
from Anago area.
Yeah, Langlade.
Yep.
Yep, that's
So
where we're at.
you know the area.
Yeah,
Not much goes on up there other than
pretty
hunting,
bad.
fishing.
You're hunting for
Yeah.
numbers wise, but yeah, it's definitely a challenge, and I'm definitely pretty excited to get up there and try that this year.
Yeah.
More.
It should be fun. I agree that I think the numbers are coming back a little bit, but
There's just so
I
much
haven't
freedom.
hunted up there, and
All those clear cuts, I've gone and up there and walked a few of them now, and it's like there's definitely plenty of deer in here using this stuff. Like a, a young clear cut like that, like the loggers will come in, they'll take all this stuff out, and it'll just be like these little weeds growing in there. I don't even know what they are, but you can see them. They're all browse. It's like almost like a food plot. I feel like it's like kind of interesting. But I don't
because
know.
I
I'll
think
see. I'll have to keep in touch with you how the season
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah. It'll be interesting because I haven't hunted up there on like public land, and we do during rifle season, like we do drives and stuff. But that reminds me when you're talking clear cuts, like I think this was, man, it's got to be like 8 to 10 years ago now. So my dad logs for a living. So he kind of like has the lowdown on some areas that are getting logged and stuff.
Yeah.
And once they do some jobs in the winter or whatnot, they'd kind of keep that in the back pocket. And we go check them out if they seen, because a couple of them, they're cutting during peak rut,
Yeah.
especially the years when it was colder and you had snow on the ground and stuff. Some of those years, and there was a couple spots where they were just throughout the day they'd see 8, 9, 10 nice bucks just running around. Like, okay, next year we're going to come in here and do some drives. You got the whole year to kind of look at a map, set up all you want to do drives in there. And then this was like 10 years ago, we did a drive so it was a fresh clear cut. And then the next year, so it's like 1 year old. And there was deer absolutely everywhere in there. And I ended up killing 2 10 points on drives that first year.
Holy
And it
crap.
gradually, yeah, we killed deer on drives there for probably 3 or 4 years when those clear cuts were good. And now they're completely grown up and you can't really see much in them. So they kind of gotten worse every year. But those couple of years surrounding that, that's definitely something to key on and up there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty excited to try to figure it out if I can.
Yeah. So you're hunting northern Wisconsin this year. That's something you're looking forward to. Cole, what's one hunt or something you're looking forward to other than like around you?
Yeah, I mean, I ended up on my grandpa's land down in like the southwest part of the state, and I haven't really ever bow hunted down there. I've only ever gun hunted. So I've hung a couple cameras down there, have some pretty nice deer on them, but it's also just like I don't know what it is about it, but like it's fun to go hunt where there's like big ones around, but then it's like you don't see anything and you're like, I'd rather just go in somewhere blind and just hunt and see what I see and figure it out without the camera. I mean, it's fun to see what's out there. Like it is fun to get trail camera pictures, but I don't know how much it helps you.
No.
I mean, it definitely can probably work out sometimes, but it just feels like you're just behind every time. I hunted it, and then the deer shows up the next day, and then I go back, and then he's not there, and it's just like, I don't know. To me, it's like it's fun to like run them early season and like see what's in the area, see what you have a chance at shooting. But it's pretty tempting to just kind of shut them off now that season's going and just know like just go when it's good, when the weather's right, when the wind's right, and just go hunt.
It's hard to beat that addiction sometimes. Those guys are waking up with, holy crap, boys, he's there.
Yep. It's bad when the first thing you do when you wake up is go look at your phone and your pictures. But you definitely have to know they're nice, but you need to learn how to hunt off of them and just know he's in the area somewhere and just come up with a completely different game plan outside of that. It's a very, very, very small piece of it all, which continuing to learn that year after year.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's pretty cool to like the piece that I do have a camera on with a couple nice bucks. Like it's not big. There's hardly any woods. Like it's kind of in an area where it's a lot of ag land and just kind of like the draws, almost like Kansas kind of. And like where those deer are bedding, it's like the wind is just sucking down to them, like no matter what way you come in from. And it's like, that's why it's so hard to get in there to hunt them. And you really do have to like wait for almost a perfect wind to try and hunt them. But it is, I mean, I've never really haven't had a bunch of cell cameras out since I like lived back home on my parents' like 40-acre piece.
I think we each own like.
Yeah. Well, I don't even own them. It's my dad's. I wouldn't. If my dad didn't have them on his plan, they would not be out there.
Yeah, it gets expensive. That's another reason why I kind of went away from them too. It's just not worth it to me.
Yeah,
you just gotta be out there.
I do love the idea of the regular cameras, like you were saying, where you just like after the season pull them and like see when deer were in there, how many deer were in there, if it was a good spot, and then like sometimes you find a spot where it was like super hot for like 3 or 4 days when those does were ready, and that's definitely something to go back to.
They are habitual, so like I guess my system in a nutshell is find a spot where every deer in that area is at least going to congregate for some part of the season. Especially if you don't even really plan on hunting it. I had a couple spots I sold cameras I never even hunted, but just to find they are habitual when it comes to bucks using an area. I definitely have learned whether that's for a couple of days this month, or it might not be down to the day, the same morning or night, but within that 3 or 4 day stretch, if you have the same conditions, for sure, there's
Do
more
you,
to it than just that day. But
do you think that
and
that
then
has like the does coming into heat? Like always feel like the timing of when deer show up on cameras is like dependent on those does like in that little area. Like
I think so.
here
I
comes a
think it's
hot
harder to.
hen
I think
buck.
it's harder to kind of get them down to a pattern that early in the season, unless because even when it comes to oaks or like food sources, they change every year. So
Yeah.
it might be the same 3 years down the road or 4 years, but it's not going to be year to year early season. But when you're talking rut, I definitely think figuring out there's a good deer in that area, and then that's when you got to go in outside of the season and kind of break it down more and figure out where the bedding is on that in that area or close, and then kind of you just like a small piece, but that's a starting point, I guess.
Yeah, like on Brett has land that his family owns up there, and like it's so good from November 2nd to like the 6th. Like those days, it is always just way better than any other time. And like we know that, so like we don't, and we like have hunted the property so much, we don't really run like we do have a couple cameras out, but we don't really worry about cameras just because like we know where the bedding area is, we know what winds you need to have to go in there to hunt, and like those that like 4 or 5 days, like we always shoot a buck in those 4 or 5 days in like the same area, and it's always like it's kind of like a property where there's like 2-3 year old bucks, like a couple of younger bucks, and then those days hit, and it just seems like there's always just a couple big ones that show up and know what's going on, like the does are in that time. So it is pretty fun to like know that and like just kind of see after hunting a property for a couple years, like when it is like the rut.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple, we'll let you guys go here in a minute, but there's this one other thing that I was going to say, but um, yeah, as far as finding those spots that, whether it's the does in heat, what for whatever reason they're in there, but there's spots this last year or two that, okay, 2 years in a row, I had encounters on mature bucks within a 3 day stretch. I'm like, can assume a couple days before that and a couple days after it was good too. So log that, and I'm not even going to hang a camera here next year and mess with it. I'm going to wait until this time. If I go in there any outside of that period, it's going to be because I have nowhere else to go. So
Yeah. And it is fun to go into a spot like that where you don't have no clue what's been in there, but you feel pretty good about it. It is a different type of fun than going in and sitting like near a camera where you
Hoping
kind
for
of,
the one.
yeah.
yep, you know the spot's going to be hot, but you don't know exactly what's going to
Yeah.
come through. Yep.
Yeah. That is very fun to sit versus like you kind of know what's in the area. I don't know. That's just me, but going in somewhere completely like blind, I guess, and just hunting it, that's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what we like to have fun.
that's it. That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Whatever
Yeah.
tickles your fancy, you do that, and
Yeah.
it's all good.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
that's kind of all the stuff I wanted to talk about, mainly your system when it comes to traveling to hunt, because it's getting this episode will probably drop second week of October, 2 weeks from now,
Yep.
and everybody can kind of maybe listen to it and see, okay, I didn't really think about that I need to maybe prepare a little bit before I leave, or if it helps one person out there not forget the release or something like that, that's a win.
Lawn chair. Bring a lawn chair so you can sit down.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
you
we
guys
appreciate you having us on.
Yeah. Thank
yeah,
you.
shout out yourself one more time just in case people cut in halfway through.
Yeah. So our YouTube channel's gone all season, and then we have Instagram and Facebook and recently TikTok. So we usually we'll probably try to do a video every week from here on out if we can, if we get content for it. But yeah, check us out. We'd appreciate it.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you too hopping on and talking deer. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
We'll
it was
keep in
fun.
touch this year for sure.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
luck this year.
Thank you.